All right. It's probably already live, but it doesn't say that it is. Okay. I'll just make sure I mute it on my end. All right. Yep. Just looking at my face. Okay. Hi. Hello. Okay, so welcome. We are going to make some ketchup and mayo with Haley Higdon. Before we get started, I always forget to say exactly what WE-Solation is. WE-Solation is a series of skill sharing episodes where we just invite people to share the things that they know how to do with us, so that we can all learn while we're at home, but hopefully connecting with our community at the same time. And we aim to use the things that we already have at home as much as possible, or at least support the small businesses around our communities. My name's Sophie, your eco-friend, and we have most of the team with us today, Adriana and Tony, Haley, if you can maybe introduce yourself and let us know how people can find you.
Sure. All right, so I'm Haley Higdon, and my handle is 50 Shades of Green Toronto. If you don't put the Toronto part in, you find a guy with his pug or a lot of weed associated handles. So 50 Shades of Green Toronto is who I am, well, part of me. Yeah, I am currently on mat leave, so have a little guy who's about almost getting close to 8 months, so pretty crazy. Sophie and I met actually where a lot of the past guests met, well, some of them. What was it, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, it was yes, almost. It was June of, oh, actually, did we meet before the first meetup? I don't think so.
No.
June of 2017.
Wow. Yeah, so we were all following each other on Instagram and decided, you know what, it's time to meet in real life. So we all went out for dinner and became fast friends, and it's all about creating community, just like we're trying to create community now. So really great to meet those people, and then the community continues to grow, which is super amazing and supportive. And I think that's what these sessions and the WE-Solation Nation is trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for organizing.
Oh yeah, we've been having a really great time learning and just literally just having a good time. Making messes in the kitchen and beyond. I just watched the video with the hair mask yesterday, I think it was. I don't know, all days roll into one, but I just watched it yesterday and it was hilarious watching Lynn like drop avocado all over the place. So that was really cute. And then as usual, we always like to start off with a land acknowledgement, and I thought today it would be great to have Haley lead that, since that is a lot of her work when she is not in mat leave. Yeah, so do you want me to share the slides?
Or I can just chat. So my job like Sophie said, when I'm not on mad leave, is I'm the program director for Natural Curiosity. So I am a teacher by training, but in the role of program director, I support other educators in learning how to teach through an inquiry approach. So following children's natural wonder and questions about the world, and supporting educators with getting outside while doing that. And then a big part of this, we rewrote a resource that we originally wrote in 2011 to support educators, but some constructive criticism of that resource was that we were missing Indigenous perspectives. So we worked with Indigenous educators and scholars and an Indigenous author to rewrite our resource, to show how Indigenous perspectives can support the work that you're doing as an educator to connect students to the earth and to learn from that experience. Through that experience and that learning, I'm constantly learning and relearning what it means to be a settler on this land and how I relate to this land and how I understand what that means and how I learn about the people that have lived on this land since time immemorial. So, the first land acknowledgement that I learned was U of T's land acknowledgement. And again, these are just words that a huge institution, granted with advice from elders, came up with. So, some people sort of ask where to start, and this has been a place where many people have started in terms of understanding land acknowledgement. So U of T's land acknowledgement talks about how I, or the people that live in Toronto, acknowledge that this territory has been the site of human activity for 15,000 years. And it's the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples whose presence here continues to this day. So that was sort of the first land acknowledgement that I learned. But then I decided that, that those were just words. What did they actually mean? What did they mean to me? And I think that this is something that we can all continue to learn about and learn more deeply. So then I started to learn a little bit about the fact that we are all treaty people and that this area is the territory as the subject of the dish with one spoon wampum belt covenant, which is an agreement between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Confederacy of the Anishinaabe and allied nations originally between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe, and then between the allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. And this area is still a meeting place for many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. So sort of understanding a little bit more about that covenant and that treaty, and learning a little bit more about what that means. And to help me understand that a bit more, the words from Rick Hill, who is an elder and from Six Nations, and he shared his understanding of the Wampum Belt Treaty in really simple words. And this is also really great for understanding the dish with one spoon wampum belt with children as well. So he says, nature says, here's the great dish, and inside the dish are all the plants, the animals, the birds, the fish, the bushes, the trees, everything you need to be healthy and therefore happy. But there are three sort of basic rules or ideas around this dish. Only take what you need. You always leave something in the dish for everybody else, including the dish. And finally, that you keep the dish clean. And that was the treaty between originally Indigenous people and nature. and then eventually the treaty between Indigenous people and everybody else. So sort of beginning to understand the Wampum Belt covenants, and especially the dish with one spoon covenant that is for this territory. Another piece, because I'm talking about environmental education with a lot of teachers, and how that connects to reconciliation, I think is a really important conversation, especially when we're encouraging teachers to reconnect with their local land and reconnect with the local Indigenous people in their communities, because it's different depending where you live. But if we look at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, there is a quote in there that talks about the importance of connecting with the earth and connecting to nature. So they state, and this was in the final report executive summary, that reconciliation between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Canadians from an Aboriginal perspective also requires reconciliation with the natural world. So if human beings resolve problems between themselves, but continue to destroy the natural world, then reconciliation remains incomplete. And this is a perspective that we as the commissioners have repeatedly heard, that reconciliation will never occur unless we are also reconciled with the earth. So yeah, I know that this may seem a little bit tricky right now when we're all spending a lot more time indoors. But, just finding, if you do have the opportunity to go outside, spring is a great time to sort of see all these natural wonders that are happening, that are beginning to spring up, and always reminds me to be hopeful. So yeah, if anyone else wants to share anything, because again, I always acknowledge that I am on a continual learning journey about this, and there's always somebody who knows more.
Absolutely. And a couple things in what you said towards the end is reconciliation with the land as well, which is so poignant, like always, but right now with the Wet'suwet'en, I mean, that's not what's happening, because you hear Trudeau speaking about taking care of Indigenous people, and but you have people on their land and you're bringing in people when you're also telling us that we need to social distance. So it's very confusing for anyone, but also for the general public who may not be aware and getting different messages. So anyway, it's something to keep in mind and to be supporting and standing in solidarity with these people that are facing some really, really difficult times. And also, I wanted to mention too, with the natural curiosity, I noticed that there's also for folks who have kids at home, isn't there a curriculum as well that's I noticed, or some kind of offering?
Yeah. So it's a little bit tricky because we do shy away from words like curriculum or lesson plans. No, it's fine. That's education language. Like, I get it. But because we want to support that, we call it a framework.
Right. Okay.
So, with lesson plans, like it's so directive that we almost always don't allow children to guide what's happening. And so we provide a framework for how educators can sort of think about learning with their children. So the first part of the framework, which is over here, starting in the east, is inquiry and engagement. So we engage children through connecting to, we talk about their interests, but also connecting to who they are and their heart and what they're passionate about. And that's going to make learning so much easier and so much more engaging. And our Indigenous author has called that section lighting the fire. So how do we light the fire and support all children in being passionate about learning? And then the second part is experiential learning. And so actually experiencing what you're learning. We like to joke, you know, like a lot of kids learn about plants by reading a textbook, you know, and how is that meaningful and how is that real life? So our Indigenous author has called that sending out roots. So how do we also connect with our place? Right? So if we're learning about plants, we're not learning about necessarily at first some exotic plant that we're never going to see, but how do we look at our local community and connect to the plants that are right outside our door? Then we talk about integrated learning. And so from an educational context, before we learned much more from our Indigenous author and partners, we talked about, okay, within one idea, you know, understanding that school is so siloized, but the world isn't.
Right.
Right. So, you know, you teach math, you teach science, you teach reading, you teach writing. Even as a teacher, I remember, you know, in my reading section, I had some of my students do some writing and they're like, but it's reading time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, we got to start over here. You know, they're not separate. But integration that from an Indigenous perspective that our author has shared is this idea of much deeper integration. So talking about also like all my relations, like how are we connected to everything on this earth? And also how are we connected to 7 generations in the past and also thinking 7 generations in the future when we're talking about integrated learning. And then finally, we used to call this section stewardship, and we've actually changed it to moving towards sustainability. And that language shift was intentional, only because a steward can sometimes imply a hierarchical relationship with the earth. So you're acting on the earth versus creating a reciprocal relationship with it. And not all people have that association, but sometimes that's how it can kind of be defined. And so you're thinking about, oh, how can I, you know, protect the earth, which is important, but it's also not just about acts of stewardship. You know, we just had Earth Week, and it's sort of like, okay, as we all know, Earth Day every day, right? Like it's not just about planting a tree, it's understanding, you know, the big picture about why that's important. So thinking about the full picture. And so our author Doug Anderson talks about the idea of breathing with the world. So creating a reciprocal relationship with the earth versus thinking of yourself as a steward protecting the earth, because eventually we don't want to have to do that.
Right.
So that's sort of the framework that can support educators and also, like you said, Sophie, parents.
Yeah. And what's the website for people? We'll put it in the notes on the
naturalcuriosity.ca. Okay. And we're also on Instagram. I think we're Natural Curiosity Ed. We have some of our educators just doing little brief stories about how to engage your children indoors and maybe outdoors if you have access to it during this time of isolation. So, yeah.
Thank you. Also, we'll also share a link to a really great 5-minute video that I thought was so good. I can't remember the name.
Isaac Murdoch. He shares his vision of reconciliation. So that's supported me in understanding how reconciliation can mean many things. And one specifically is how we reconnect with the land and all of our relations. So, yeah.
Thanks so much, Haley.
Thank you.
All right, let's get down to condiments.
Okay. So, as you saw, where did it go? Did I lose it?
Okay, so we're starting with ketchup.
We'll start with ketchup. Okay. I was going to get out my empty ketchup bottle, but the reason why I did this is that, you know, in this time, we've been in isolation for over a month and a bit now. And so I've run out of ketchup and I've run out of mayo. So I decided it was time. I've made both of them before. Mayo I made recently. Ketchup I've made a while ago, so be patient with me. But the recipe is, again, from local woman. I don't know if you guys know.
Local, like Toronto?
Yeah, she's from Toronto, Jay Steele. It's a cookbook called Ripe from Around Here. And so this is where the recipe is from.
Nice. That's stuff from Grove?
Yeah, she's at the farmers markets.
Nice.
Yeah. So homemade ketchup. We start with 1/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar. And what I do, I just have my pot right here. So we're just gonna put all the ingredients into the pot.
Okay.
I stocked up on some apple cider vinegar at Bear Market.
Nice.
And I wonder though, can you use the scrappy? Do you think?
Right. So that's right. Thank you for that. I was just gonna say, and if anyone doesn't have apple cider vinegar, you can go back into one of the episodes in our first week, I think, of WE-Solation. It's crazy to think we have a bunch of videos now, which is kind of cool. It's actually been a really useful resource for me. I'm like, how did we make it? I'm like, I'll just go back to the channel. But yes, I'm using some of that. I mixed it in with stuff that I already had because I figured the stuff I already had like a mother. Well, I don't know. But anyway, you can make it with water, sugar, and apple scraps. For anyone who's wondering.
I haven't made it yet, but I've got my apple scraps collecting in the freezer. So if I have a couple, then I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah. Okay, so I just put 1/4 of a cup right into the saucepan?
Yep.
Okay.
And then 1/4 cup of water. It says filtered water, but I'm just using the tap water.
Our city water is filtered.
Yeah, I better promote Toronto tap water. My partner works for the City of Toronto tap water. Toronto water. Okay, and then I need my tablespoon. So we've got the apple cider vinegar, we've got the water in there, then 2 tablespoons of a liquid sweetener. So it can be maple syrup, rice syrup, agave, whatever you got in your cupboard. So 2 tablespoons. One.
I was so cute. I don't know if you saw it, but it was one of the, I don't remember which episode, but Erica, you know Erica.
Erica and I met at Bulk Barn. Did I tell you the story? Did she
No.
So she's one of my caught you green-handed.
Oh my gosh, really? That's so
cool.
That's awesome.
Of green, I catch people green-handed. So using the reusable water bottle, coffee mug, bringing their own. Yeah, and so she was at Bulk Barn with all her own jars and stuff, and I'm like, excuse me, can I take your picture?
And of course she was like, oh my God.
She was so excited.
Great. Well, she was one of the last things that we made. She was like, she's like, I thought when I first got here that just like every Canadian just has maple syrup like all the time. I'm like, well, not totally untrue.
Yeah.
It was very funny the way that she said it. I was like, oh yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah.
Just one of those staples, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so we've got our maple syrup in, or whatever your sweetener is. Then the next one is 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Yeah.
I really like things that all go into the pot right away.
Yeah, so the only thing that's not going into the pot now actually is the tomato paste.
Okay.
So we're waiting. I think we bring this mixture that we're making right now to a boil. Okay. And then we turn the heat down, stir in the paste and cover and cook. We're going to set a timer for 8 minutes.
Okay. Cool. Oh, is that it?
We've got now 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. We did. Then we're going to do a teaspoon of, if you have fresh oregano, which I doubt people do.
No, I don't.
Yeah. And so then If you've got dried, then it's half a teaspoon of dried oregano.
Okay. What would be like, oh, sorry, I won't stop you while you're going through the ingredients.
Sorry?
Oh, I was gonna ask you, like, what would be the thing that you, because I found there's a couple things that I have been doing for the last few years that I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I'm already doing this. Like, it feels like I'm more resilient than I would have been before. Like, I'd have to run to the grocery store more. Is there any like one thing that you do that you're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm already doing this thing?
I think it's just like being able to be like, okay, I have this, this, and this, and like throw it into a pot and make it. Those sort of like together meals.
Yeah.
That's definitely one that I think
I did not used to be good at that. I used to go and get the like, you know, herb de Provence, and it's like I would never use that again. Like, you know?
Yeah. No, I often Google, I did the other night, like, oh gosh, don't have dried rosemary, you know, like what can I use to replace it? So,
yeah, totally.
Okay, now we need 1/4 of a teaspoon of mustard powder. So I had to buy I was out of mustard powder, and Bear Market didn't have their herbs and spices up yet, so oh well.
That's okay.
I'm gonna try, speaking of condiments, my next, which I haven't done yet, is I'm gonna make mustard. So I'm gonna use a bunch of that anyway.
Cool.
And then, so that was 1/4 of a teaspoon of mustard. Now 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg.
That was a surprising one. I was like, oh.
Me too. I know. I was like, oh yeah.
I guess to give it more depth. I don't know.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So wait, you said 1/4, right?
1/4, yeah. Any questions so far? Or we're good?
Good.
Okay. Good. And then it says freshly ground pepper to taste. I'm always like, what does that mean?
Oh yeah. Oh shoot, I forgot. My thing is empty. I gotta fill it.
So. All right. And then we've got 1 clove of garlic. They recommend just pressing it into, if you've got a garlic press, or if you've got like a grater, a garlic, or what are those things called? Microplane.
Oh.
You could microplane it in, or just use a cheese grater.
Oh, gotcha.
Microplane, I feel like, is like a mini cheese grater.
I've never used a microplane for that. It's a good idea.
Yeah, here I have one. I can show people if they don't know. Look at this, is like, wow. So there's a 1 microplane.
I didn't know that that's what the name of it was. Learning so many things. Okay, garlic. 1 clove, you said, right?
1 clove, pressed, microplaned, cheese grated. I mean, you could probably chop it, but I think they just want it to be more smushed.
Blended in, I guess.
The only thing about this is it's super annoying to get all the garlic out.
Oh, the press? Yeah, I used to think that I could not survive without one, and then ours broke, and then lo and behold, I'm still here.
Exactly. Who knew? All right, so I'm just mixing it around, and then we're gonna put it on the stove top, and we're gonna bring it to a boil and then turn the heat down to low, and that's when we're gonna stir in the paste and let it do its thing for about 8 minutes.
Okay. Oh, don't let me forget. I know we're not even close to the mayo part yet, but when I have questions, lightning round questions for you.
Uh-oh.
No, fun, all fun.
Okay.
That's a quick question. With this ketchup recipe, does it make about a cup or like what's
Yeah, it makes about 1 cup.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, these size, the like cup mason jars are really great to put them in. I don't know what would happen if you put it in your squirt bottle.
I was curious, but then I thought that'd be so messy trying to get it in the squirt bottle, so I decided to
Yeah.
Yeah, just little spoon it out, I guess.
Plus, you also want any potential guests when this time is over to know that you've made it. I don't want them to think that Heinz made this amazing ketchup.
My dad was saying last night when I was telling him about this that Anthony Bourdain was like, homemade ketchup? No, like you just go with Heinz.
Anthony Bourdain said that?
Totally. I didn't fact check him on that one, but so we'll have to see if it's worth it.
Surprising. He must have had some kind of gig with Heinz or something.
Maybe.
Maybe. Actually, there's an interesting thing about, does anyone know about, someone told me that vinegar is often made from petroleum, and you have to check like that it's actually the vinegar from corn. I guess, is it normally made from corn? I can't remember, but I was like, vinegar is vinegar, I don't know. But Heinz actually, apparently, they used to, at least recently, it was like kind of a safe choice. Does anyone know about that?
Sorry, I missed the first part of the sentence. Where does the vinegar come from?
Well, this is what I've heard, that some vinegars actually like have petroleum base in it. And I'm like, what? Is that even possible? Like, how does that even work?
Well, that's like the plastic Parmesan.
Right. Oh God. Yeah.
The plastic parm.
Yeah, that there was actually like, again, I didn't fact check it, so no. But again, there are traces of plastic found in some Parmesans.
Ooh.
Like more than just microplastics that are in
I don't know. Now we're just spreading rumors.
Well, the only part that we'll be accountable for is the making of. The conversation in between is not.
So mine's boiling already. I don't know about you guys.
It's just starting to, just a little bit.
So I'm going to turn it down and I'm going to stir in the paste.
Okay. So you turn it down to low?
Yeah, it says turn down to low, stir in paste and cook for 8 minutes.
Okay.
And it's the whole can, right?
Yeah, the whole can.
And it doesn't matter like the rate at which you do it or anything.
No, not like the mayo.
How many recipes have you all done where you're following the recipe and then it tells you something that you've already like done wrong? You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Take that. I guess for anyone who makes this and doesn't think that they'll go through enough ketchup, you could always give some to your neighbors or to your loved ones as a nice like porch drop off, contactless delivery, whatever.
Yeah, especially if you're like me and have too many jars. I don't know if you saw my latest post about my partner complaining about having too many jars. You know, fill some with ketchup and drop them off in your neighbors.
I don't know if I saw that, but yes, I can relate, absolutely. Mick, do I have too many jars? We have too many jars. Oh, that's very solidarity there.
It tastes, I just tasted it, sorry. Yeah. Not very excited.
Good taste.
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Right.
I'm
I'm struggling to get all the paste out of the can.
It already looks like ketchup, which obviously makes sense.
Okay, I'm gonna set the timer for 8 minutes.
Did you cover it?
Yep, cover.
Okay. Has anyone made their own tomato paste before?
I have not.
I have not.
No, but Sarah
Yeah,
said she
that's the story I was gonna say. It's like, I don't think I ever will, because she was like, I will never do that again. Like, I had my oven on for like 8 hours.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, it's all the peels. Like, you have to dehydrate them. Because you know what? I don't know if you've ever seen. Sarah has. I feel like she gets mentioned in every episode. She does Tomato Town. Have you seen that?
Whoa.
Oh, so she has this highlight where she does tomatoes every year and she cans them, and it's like a whole production. She has this, like, her whole family's involved. Even neighbors come over, and she's got this big thing. And anyway, so it takes out all the peels, and then the peels, you can apparently dehydrate them and then turn them into paste. But it's a very, very lengthy process.
Sounds like it's a lot of work for one little can of tomato paste.
Yeah.
Or one little amount.
The other trick that maybe not everybody knows, if a recipe calls for just like 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, the trick of scooping a tablespoon out and putting them in your ice cube trays.
Yes, I got that from you. I have it in there now. Yeah. Thank you for
I
that.
love that. It's a great idea. We do that at home with veggie stock. So then when we're cooking, we just pull out a cube or 2 of stock and throw it in the pan, and it's the perfect amount.
Nice. So do you use that like for frying up things instead of oil?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, good one.
Yeah, it actually works really well for pesto as well. It's kind of like a 1 person per cube ratio.
Yeah. And you just have to remember they're there so that they don't get freezer burnt. I'm thinking mine here, they're looking a little sad.
Oh no.
When they're freezer burned though, are they really bad, or is it
No, I still use them. Don't worry.
I'm like, that's what I'm like, are they bad? What is freezer burn anyway? The taste.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so that's going away on there. Looks good. So the homemade mayo recipe is from a classic. Moosewood cookbook.
I don't know it.
Oh. So it's, I wonder when it was originally published, 1977.
Oh.
And they have a vegetarian restaurant in Ithaca, New York, I'm pretty sure.
Ithaca is the best.
Yeah, so Moosewood Cookbook is like a classic vegetarian cookbook.
Cool.
And it's just really sweet. It's got, it's all illustrated, as you can see. Those were oven mitts. I don't know, I'm like, yeah. But the mayo recipe is from them. And so we need 1 large egg, 3 tablespoons of cider vinegar, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon dry mustard, and 1 1/4 cups of oil. They say vegetable, canola, or a combination of both. I have sunflower and canola, so I'm just gonna try it out with that. I'm sure you could use avocado oil. I'm sure it'd be fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they say you do need a food processor.
I just remembered I did make mayo before with an immersion blender. I'm not going to do it with that today, but for anyone who might want to try, you could try it. It's probably going to take more time, I would imagine. And like you said, you need someone to Or if
If you can do both hands, because you have to pour in the oil while it's
Right.
blending. So that would just be the only thing. But if you have one, like a lot of the immersion blender come with that cup.
Right.
It might even be good for making small batches.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you didn't want this much. So the first instruction says place the first 4 ingredients in the blender. So the first one is 1 large egg. Again, I posted on Instagram that there's a vegan version of this. If anybody's joining that's a vegan, it says tofu somewhat real mayo. So maybe it's sort of as close as you can get, but it calls for 1 packed cup of mashed tofu.
Okay.
So if anybody's going with that version.
Okay. Is it basically the same, but just with the tofu?
It's a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
As well.
can either, maybe we'll post it afterwards is the best
I'll
way to do it.
And I can post it in the description. I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. So 1 large egg.
Really hard egg.
Again, giving props to Bear Market. Picked up eggs this morning from Bear Market.
Very nice.
And where did it go? 3 tablespoons of cider vinegar.
I'm actually excited to try this because I think sorry, you said 3 tablespoons, right?
Yeah, tablespoons. Yeah.
Because when I made it before, it wasn't great, but I don't think some of these ingredients are different, so I'm excited. Because you said you liked it, right?
Yeah, I really liked it. And I'm a big mayo fan, so.
Same.
Yeah.
I think the recipe I had was like literally like oil in an egg.
Yeah.
There was like, I don't remember, maybe salt. I don't remember there being much of anything else.
Just giving my ketchup a stir because I was hearing it boiling away.
Oh,
I don't know if you want to. There's a minute left for that one. So I said half a teaspoon of salt.
okay. Half a teaspoon of salt.
Oh, look at me, I'm silly. I actually measured out the 3 tablespoons already, but then I forgot and didn't use it.
It's fun to like have things like pre-measured.
I was trying to be all profesh like the shows, but obviously that didn't work for me. All right, and then half a teaspoon of your dry mustard.
Okay. That is it's very popular today.
I know.
You said half a teaspoon, yeah?
Yep. Oh, that's the timer for the ketchup, so I'm gonna turn it off.
I think I still have a couple minutes on mine. Yep. There you go. Thank you. You're welcome.
I just tasted it, but don't do that because I just almost burnt my tongue.
Thank you for that, because I'm notorious for tasting things right off. Right out of the oven, right off the
Don't worry, you want to try it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So it said we paste the first 4 ingredients. We've got the egg, we've got the 3 tablespoons of cider vinegar, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of dry mustard. And then it also says with 2 tablespoons of the oil.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of tricky because it calls for, 1 second. This is what I did this wrong last time.
Okay.
It calls for 1 1/4 cups of oil. So you have to subtract that 2 tablespoons.
That's
from,
not.
I know.
Not to me.
So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill this up with my oil
Yeah.
to 1 1/4
Yeah.
of a cup.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to pour out 2 tablespoons.
That is also what I'm going to do. Wait. Okay.
Yeah. I'm mixing a bunch of oils.
Okay. 1.
I know it's a lot of oil. This is a good thing about baking and cooking. You realize what's actually in things.
Okay, that basically took me out.
Are you good?
Yeah. It's basically, that's exactly pretty much what was in my oil container.
It uses a lot of oil. So in these times of like not having a ton of stuff, but
I guess you would just have to portion it.
yeah, you could make smaller
Oh no, not this.
smaller versions. Okay, so now that we've got the 1 1/4 cup, I'm gonna pour 2 tablespoons
Okay.
out of that into the food processor.
Okay.
Okay, and then what it says is process for a few seconds.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's a lot of pressure. Does it say high or low?
I did it. It doesn't say.
Okay. I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, probably good. Okay, then it says keep the motor running as you drizzle in the remaining oil.
Okay.
As soon as all the oil is incorporated, turn off the machine, scrape the mayonnaise into a container, cover, and refrigerate.
Okay.
So I think it doesn't say how much it makes, but it's definitely more than a cup. So I think the last time I used these Pyrex, I can hear my baby coming back. I'm like, what is that? The Pyrex dishes. I think I just used one of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't say how long. It just says.
It doesn't say how long.
So it's just like when blended.
I think you just do it really slowly.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just keep it running, drizzle it in slowly. Okay. And then once it's all in there and incorporated, you turn it off and you dump it in the jar to be refrigerated.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Off we go.
Next time we should make mayonnaise on Cinco de Mayo so that I can use all of the Cinco de Mayo emotions. Because they say like mayo, but no. Next time.
I'm looking forward to trying it, and I'm going to try it without the egg. So I will keep you all updated on how that turns out.
Ooh.
Sorry, I didn't hear anything. If something.
No, I didn't hear anything. I just saw faces. So,
No, that's okay. I said that I'm going to try it without the egg, so I will update you on how that one turns out.
oh,
Okay.
cool.
How does that look, Sophie?
I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like a bit more liquidy than? Oh no.
So once you get it in the fridge, it firms up.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you know what? It looks good. Hang on. Let me just
So mine, I think because I use the canola oil, it's kind of yellow.
Yeah,
Yellow oil.
I use, oh. Here's like, oh. Does mayo ever look good like doing that?
So good.
I love mayo. But I feel like it's a plop, not a like a fudgy kind of like batter.
All right, I just got it everywhere.
Okay.
It's funny, I use sunflower oil and actually tastes like sunflower seeds.
That's what I use as well, sunflower oil.
Yeah.
This looks great. Hey, Mick, you want to taste this? No.
Don't trust me, Mick?
He hates it when I put him on the spot, like to try something. I'm like, yeah, I know you don't really like this, but can you try it? I did a really good job.
All right, so then you just cover it up, put it in the fridge, and it should firm up a bit more.
Yeah, this totally looks like legit mayo. Let me taste it. Oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah, zingy.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Ta-da! Yeah. So I guess we should say this cookbook doesn't actually say how long this mayo lasts, but I do think it is about a week. Someone tell me if I'm wrong on that. But the ketchup, she does say 2 weeks in the fridge or 3 months in the freezer. So that's also an option. You can freeze the ketchup.
Okay, so probably a good idea to write the date on whatever they put it on, especially if you're keeping it in the fridge. And the same goes for the mayo, I guess, but if it's only a week.
Yeah.
It's
So when I made it the last time, we made a lot of sandwiches that week. And then I was saying earlier that then at the end of the week, we made just a big coleslaw because we had a big head of cabbage. So made it easy to use it up. That someone was recommending a potato salad or something that uses a fair amount of mayo or deviled eggs.
Right. Yeah. Did Tony make it as well? It looked like she was, but I don't know.
I'm not sure. Tony was.
Yeah, I think she's making it.
What was the question? I did make it.
Oh, you did?
I don't know what mine did wrong, but we'll see what happens in the fridge.
It's clumpy?
No, it's liquidy. Like it's like too. It's not like.
It should get firmer in the fridge.
We'll find out.
Yeah. It might not have emulsified enough, maybe, if it's super liquidy.
I don't know. Like I said, I tried to blend it a little bit more to see if that would make a difference. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's one of those moments.
What kind of I don't know, what kind of oil was it?
I used sunflower.
Oh yeah, so did I.
Huh.
Like I said, I literally have no idea. So we'll see.
And you put the egg in?
I did put the egg in.
Yeah, I don't know. I have heard that mayo can be tricky sometimes if it doesn't emulsify properly.
Yeah.
And you were using a regular food processor?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, good. Like I said, we'll just see what happens.
Hey, I could sell this stuff.
You could. It looks great.
I don't know. I mean, just by the look of it, I haven't really tasted it yet. Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Huh.
I feel like it's gonna taste better too once it sits in the fridge. Like I feel like maybe the flavors will.
Yeah. It becomes a bit creamier.
Yeah, most sauces seem to do better once they've had. I feel like everything's better the next day. Maybe not bread, but
Bread might be the only exception.
Yeah, bread is like immediately in my mouth
Mhm.
right when it's done, as quickly as
Once it gets a little bit hard, we usually put the rest in the freezer, and then we'll have it like with soup. We'll do like crusty bread with soup.
nice.
Yeah.
Yummy. I love that picture behind you.
Oh, the monkey? Thank you.
Awesome. Well, this is
Yeah.
exciting.
So I'm also just putting the ketchup in a jar as well.
Yeah, I forgot that I made that as well. So.
Yeah.
Nice. That was pretty simple.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Just, I guess, yeah, I feel like this is a good thing if you have a large household for the mayo, if you're just making it like that, like according to the recipe, or splitting it with a friend or neighbor or whatever.
Yeah, and you could like half the recipe, right? If you just wanted mayo to make sandwiches for the week or
Yeah, that's a good
like
idea.
that.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I mean, I know it does make you think, like, what are they putting in mayo that lasts in your fridge for a year?
Yeah. I forgot to mention anyone who made this or is going to make it over the next week or so, or anything that you've learned from today's episode. We do a giveaway for each episode, and one winner will get like just a personalized note and some seed paper to send a note to a loved one, and also some little seed paper to put to use for herbs, to grow some herbs at home. And then also, Haley, maybe you can.
Yeah. So I was sent this little package from Life Unpacked, which is from a company from Vancouver, BC that does low waste soaps. And so I'm just opening it. Sorry, that's annoying. So by accident, I was sent two. So I'm also going to ship this off to a lucky winner as well. So let's see what they've got. They've got a bamboo toothbrush.
Oh, nice.
And some, I think a shave soap. What do they have? A lavender shave bar, a citrus shave bar for sudsing before you shave, and a eucalyptus shampoo bar, and a lemongrass soap bar. But they're just little samplers. They look like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's exciting. So yeah, anyone who makes or learns or whatever that you learned today, you can tag one of us. I'm your eco friend or 50 Shades of Green Toronto, and you get a chance to win a personalized note and a lovely gift pack from Haley.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. I will immediately put this in the fridge along with my ketchup. I have to make sure that my know that I made ketchup because she is obsessed with it.
Well, hopefully she likes this version that's maybe a little less sweet.
Yeah, well, we don't buy it, so the only time she's ever had it is it's few and far between, I guess. It's when we eat out. So she's kind of like, if she has anything that's close to it at home, it's like exciting. It's really good.
Yeah.
So good.
So I don't know if you let it cool down before you put it in the fridge, but
okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's fine if you put it right in.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions before we sign off?
Were you still going to do the lightning round?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I mentioned that. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Just a few fun questions.
These things always take so much longer than you think.
One moment. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready. Pew, pew. That was lightning or something.
There we go. Okay.
Hey.
Okay, what do you prefer? Ocean or mountain?
Oh, mountain.
Okay. Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Dancing or singing?
Dancing.
Yeah. Do you prefer hot or cold?
Hot.
Okay. And if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I think flying.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I have lots of flying dreams, except for when I fly, I swim. Does anyone else swim fly?
Whoa.
Like, it's not just like,
No.
it's like I'm like going through the air like this.
Oh, yes, I do. I do
Oh, that
actually.
is how I do it when I'm flying in my dreams.
Swim flying.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never called it that.
Texting or talking?
Texting.
Texting?
Yeah. My dad's gonna like that one. He's like, can't we have some human connection? Why are we texting?
I know sometimes I'm just like, I just started sending like videos of me talking.
Yeah.
As you know, I do. Yeah, I know. Nick just said it looks like actual mayonnaise. It is actual mayonnaise. First celebrity crush.
Oh man. It's like probably someone like Jonathan Taylor Thompson.
Thomas, Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Thomas. See, I don't even remember. Thank you.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, last one. Favorite carnival food.
Ooh.
Whoa. I'm gonna have to go with Tiny Tom's. The little donuts.
What's that?
Yes.
The little mini donuts that you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can get like cinnamon or a friend of mine from high school used to work there at the X in the summer. And so we'd always get little, free baggies of Tiny Tom's, right?
Mhm.
It sounds familiar, but I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And what's your topping, Haley? What's your topping of choice?
Oh, the like cinnamon sugar.
Yeah.
Beaver tails. That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Basically the same thing in different shapes.
Similar.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, please share anyone who made this, or if you have any questions, and we will make sure to post the description with all the references to all the resources to the references that we made today. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much, Haley. And we will see each other very soon.
Okay. Sounds great. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining. Ciao.
Bye.